How's it going, guys? Welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about Lost Ark. I'm going to be talking about my experience so far through this game and just talk about the things that I noticed and thought about and felt while I was leveling up and getting to where I am now. I'm not a whole lot into the game just yet. I have just completed the siege, which is what you're going to be watching in the background. So quick heads up to anybody who hasn't got this far yet, there could be some spoilers in this for you because I'm just going to leave that gameplay of me doing the siege through and just let that run. While that is playing, I am going to be talking about my experience from starting Lost Ark and my thoughts on certain things, and then until now, and whether it's changed or not, and the things that I think are worth mentioning. Hopefully for anyone considering trying the game out, this is any use to you, and hopefully you guys just enjoy all the same either way. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this game, whether you have tried it out or not. I'm pretty sure the way it's going at the moment that most people, especially people that have clicked on this video, have probably at least heard enough about the game to be able to give their thoughts on what they've seen or what they've heard. Anyway, if you enjoy the video, do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's talk about Lost Ark. Okay, so we're going to start off with my initial thoughts of the game. When I first launched the game, I was placed in I think 3,000 or 4,000 player queue, which wasn't that bad considering I was off peak time. So that's a good thing, and I got into the game pretty quickly. I made my character and then chose my class, which ended up being the sorceress. Once I got into the actual world of the game, I felt like it kind of looked and played a little bit different, like a little bit strange, a little bit weird. There was just something that didn't feel right that I couldn't quite put my finger on. But then eventually, after getting through the tutorial and getting around the first couple of quests, I kind of like went, you know what? It kind of feels like I'm playing a mobile game but on PC. Now don't get me wrong, I have since changed my mind on this, and I think that the way that the camera works and stuff is actually pretty damn good, especially when you're going through dungeons and raids and the camera's moving around and stuff. This was just my initial thoughts, and I'm sure a lot of people will probably think the same sort of thing when they get started, but just so you guys know, it is worth just sticking through it a little bit and getting past this bit. The initial questing was kind of a little bit boring, as you were pretty much just running from character to character, from NPC to NPC, just picking up the quest, handing it in, and also just killing off a couple of these and then running back again. You didn't really have all that much to do other than just that, and it was always like kill like 6 things, come back. The story so far wasn't anything that exciting either. There wasn't really anything that I was interested in. I was paying attention to the cutscenes, and I was skimming through any of the chat between the NPCs, the main storyline, and I just wasn't that interested in that. I was paying attention as I wanted to understand what the story was later on, but initially the story was absolutely nothing to really like get excited about. The combat though was something that I think was absolutely game changing, and probably the main reason that most people are playing Lost Ark. I think the combat is done incredibly well. It started out like really good. The animations are absolutely brilliant. They are all polished, and you can tell that there's been a lot of time and effort put into the combat. Your character feels like it is incredibly powerful, and you feel like there's a lot to pay attention to, the combos and stuff on your abilities, and you don't just start off with the 1 or 2 abilities. You do get a full slot of abilities to use, meaning there is a lot of choice and stuff to learn immediately when you get started. However, there was one bit of an issue with the combat when I first started out, and that was purely that you kind of just one-shot everything. Everything you try to kill early on, like really early on, you just one-shotting everything as you go. So you don't even need to use many of the spells. They're just sort of there because you can use them if you want. But you could just use the basic spell, which is I think the line of fire for me, just like literally like a line of fire coming out of my character, and then burning on the ground afterwards. But that would insta-kill almost everything that I was going to attack at the beginning of the game. I feel like it would have been nice if I would have had to use a couple of my abilities at least early on, just to get through those mobs, as it felt like I had all these abilities that looked really cool and they felt really strong, but I just didn't really need to use them, and I had no reason to really understand what I was doing with them. That being said, the combat changed pretty damn quickly. As you start leveling up, you realize when you go into the skill window that there is a lot of different skills. It is not just that the sorceress has 6 abilities and all sorceresses are going to have the same 6. There is a list of abilities you can learn as you unlock them, and you unlock them by leveling up your character, and then you can pick which 6 abilities to use for yourself. Not only that, but you will be spending skill points on those abilities, which actually changes how they work and what they do. You start to notice pretty quick that the combat is very in-depth in this, and the skill builds, is something that has had a lot of effort put into, and you are going to be able to spend a long time trying to figure out the exact build that you want for your character, and it's probably likely that not many people are going to have the exact same build as you, at least early on in the game when there's no specific metas that work best than everything else. Again, once you start getting past these mobs that you could just one hit, you start getting different ones that would take a little bit more effort and a couple of combos to clear out, but also the bosses you would face would actually require you to pay somewhat of an attention to make sure you don't just die while you're fighting the boss. You would have to dodge the mechanics using your dodge ability, you would have to make sure you're not wasting that, and you would have to make sure you're placing your abilities at the right time, as some abilities do have cast animations, which if you do that when there's another mechanic about to happen, you'll have to cancel it and move out of the way. So there is a lot of thinking that does need to go into this, and it started to feel a whole lot better pretty quickly. As for boss mechanics themselves, so far I don't think I've fought a single boss, and I've fought quite a lot at this point already. I don't think I've fought a single boss that has just seemed like the last one. Like, they just don't seem that repetitive. They all seem to have different animations, different sort of special abilities, and they all work a bit different. There's no copy pastes or anything like that, and it keeps it really interesting. Like, it really does. Every time you see a new boss, every single time you do a solo dungeon and something appears or comes down, or anything is like summoned or anything like that during the main story quest, you are thinking, holy crap, look at this badass thing, I have to kill this now, and it just feels like a different experience than all of the other ones you've already fought. Once you've been questing for a while, you will notice the story does gradually get better. There's still nothing to get like overly excited about, but it does get you a bit more interested, and it does make the questing more bearable and more enjoyable, because you are sort of like, okay, this is happening now, and this is the next thing, and it does make it a little bit more interesting, because stuff's actually happening. You're not just running from camp to camp, healing people, and then moving on to the next one. You start getting more solo dungeons and more bosses to fight as well, which of course keeps the interest there for continuing on with the main story quest, because personally, I think these solo dungeons are actually easily one of the best things that I've done in this game so far. I enjoy them a hell of a lot, and I look forward to them each and every time. As soon as I finish this one, I'll be like, right, when are we going to get to the next one? And then when you can kind of tell that the next one's about to be pretty close, because they're not too far apart from each other, it's good. It gives you that drive to keep going, get through those quests, and there's not really any huge gaps between the dungeon that you've just done and then the next one coming up. Questing overall, though, is incredibly easy, and it is kind of a little bit like mind-numbing, I guess. You don't really need to pay attention, is what I'm trying to say. You can literally just run from this point, kill 6 or 12 of these monsters, run back and hand it in, or run to the next person, and that's pretty much what questing turns out to be. What keeps these interesting, like I say, is the dungeons, and of course is reading the story as well. I would at least probably pay attention to cutscenes or listen to the first line of text, because when you talk to an NPC, the first line of text of what they say is voice acted. So if you're not going to read through the stuff, at least listen to that first line of text so you have an idea of what's going on, and do pay attention to the cutscenes. But having the quests kind of like incredibly easy to do is a good thing and a bad thing. It's bad because you kind of think like, this is a little bit boring, I am not really being challenged at all, and I'm just running here and running there. That being said, they are very short as well, and they are aware that people don't really enjoy the questing process. It seems, at least that's what I think. And what this ends up doing overall is you run to a quest, you hand it in, you run to a quest, you hand it in, and then before you know it, you're just thinking, okay, just one more quest. And then you do that and it's like, oh, that was only about 30 seconds, just one more quest. Well, that only took 2 minutes, I'll just do one more. And then before you realize it, holy crap, you've progressed quite a lot, and you've got through to the next area, you're at the next dungeon, so you're enjoying yourself again, you've forgotten about the mind-numbing questing bit, you're enjoying the dungeon, you get through that, and then guess what? Oh, well, I mean, that wasn't too far since the last dungeon. Let's do another few quests. Let's just hand this one in. We'll do one more. We'll do one more. And from there on, you kind of progress faster than you realize it, and you enjoy the main parts of the story that are incredibly good. Now, when I talk about the main part of the story that's incredibly good, honestly, I've just done the siege where you go into the castle and you take back the castle, and that's what you've been watching in the background now, of course. The story leading up to this bit is where the game starts to get really good, and at least in my opinion, and I'm not too far after this, so my current stance on this is the story got incredibly good at this part. You are going to go through some incredible cinematics, as you guys have seen. You're going to have a really engaging, like, sort of raid feeling thing where you're taking back the castle and taking on bosses along the way as well. And not only that, there's certain parts where you get to pick what actually happens, or you get to decide on certain things, and it makes you kind of actually like care, or you feel engaged in the story basically. Overall though, the actual experience of doing this dungeon, or the raid, or whatever you want to call it, the instance bit of taking back the castle, was probably one of the most enjoyable and best experiences I've had in an MMO in a hell of a long time. I realized that I was playing the game just to purely have fun and enjoy the content that they've put in there for me. So I'm used to playing games like RuneScape, for example, where you'll grind for hours and hours on something, which is slightly enjoyable, but not like a really high peak, and then you get that one drop, an item drop or something like that, and you get that big dopamine hit, and then you go back to doing the same things that are low again for the next 5 or 6 or whatever hours until you get the big dopamine hit again. However, with Lost Ark, it does seem like the PvE and the content itself is actually just consistently engaging. You are just doing these dungeons, and throughout the entire dungeon you are having an absolute blast. The camera is all over the place, taking you into these nice awesome cinematics and stuff, and the way that it seamlessly ties together. You will see the cinematic of all the big huge army running towards your character, and then your camera will go back to where it needs to be for you to take on this army, and you have to actually fight the amount of units that you see. It's not like most games where the cinematic will show you like 5,000 units running towards you and then you only fight 5. If it shows you like 300 units or whatever, you will fight those 300 units. Whatever is there is what you're going to be fighting, and that to me was absolutely insane. So the siege was brilliant and the stories are getting good, and I really enjoyed this combat in this, and I thought it was absolutely great. So I'm having an absolute blast in this game so far, and I think that it is absolutely worth your time to try this game out. It is free to play, it is absolutely worth downloading and just giving it a shot, but do give it a couple of hours at least, 2 or 3 hours I would say, and then you can get into the point where you sort of feel like you've done a couple of bosses now, you have a feel of how it's going to be, and if you don't have that drive to keep going, then hey, you've lost a couple of hours, but at least you've given it a shot. But a lot of people, as you can see, a lot of people are playing this game, a lot of people are going to try it out and they're going to be like, holy crap, this is a really good experience. That being said, the final thing I wanted to address in this video is going to be the fact that, is the game pay to win? Well, yes, the game is pay to win. Now, this is something that a lot of people are like here and there about. They can't agree on it. Some people are saying it's not pay to win, some people are saying it is pay to win, but in my opinion, this game is absolutely pay to win. You can buy currency, you can buy power, you can do a hell of a lot of stuff with your real life money. That being said, I don't think it's anything that would put me off the game. I don't normally like pay to win in games, but I am getting so much fun and enjoyment out of this game at the moment, and I can see myself doing that anyway, because I can still take part and do everything that I wanted to do in the game without touching my wallet anyway. And as long as it doesn't get to the point where if I'm wanting to do PvP in the future and I'm just getting rolled by people who have just purely put money into their account and stuff, as long as I can still take part in that stuff, then I don't think it'll be a problem. The game is free, there is a pretty damn strong cash shop, but like I say, you don't have to get involved in that, you don't have to spend any money on it if you don't want to, but if you do want to, then the option is there, I suppose. But yes, to me, I would say the game is absolutely pay to win, but not in a way that is going to ruin your fun. I'm going to get probably hundreds, if not thousands of hours of enjoyment out of this game for absolutely free, and to me, that's just an absolute bargain. I mean, entertainment for free? I'll take it. But anyway, that is my thoughts so far on Lost Ark. I've had a hell of a time playing it. When I first started, I thought I would probably play it a couple of hours, put it down, and give up on it. I just thought, this isn't for me. It's really not for me. But now that I'm playing it and I've got this far in, I don't think I'm going to be putting it down anytime soon. I am going to get to the end game. I'm going to try out some of the end game bosses and some of the end game instances and stuff. I want to get into PvP. I want to get multiple characters to like max level, and I want to see what it's all about. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and listening to me ramble on about this game. If you did enjoy, then consider leaving a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, which most of you will be. And other than that, I will see you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.